year is 1987, and hip-hop music starts to break away from its old-school foundation, and a new school era emerges. This era is fueled by innovation, Black consciousness, and diversity in sound and participation. For many, this is arguably hip-hop's most creative period, the Golden Era. Covering the period from 1987 through 1984, the series will focus on the Golden Era and cover several specific influential albums and their impact on the hip-hop generation and the generations that follow.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? We back. Yeah, thank you for the hand, audience. We're back. The Golden Era podcast. Well, all things Black with Garland and Calvin presents the Golden Era podcast. Thank you for those people who've been tuning in the last several weeks over these episodes. Tonight is our final episode 5. We got the jazz. We're going to talk about A Tribe Called Quest, particularly probably their biggest album that most people know them by, Low End Theory. Some people might say Midnight Marauders. For the heads, it's probably Midnight Marauders, but for the mainstream, it's the Low End Theory. So, we're going to get into Low End Theory. But before we get into that, man, I want to introduce my featured guest that's been with me through these 5 episodes, DJ Wisdom Beats. What's going on, fam?
What's going on? How you doing today, G?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's like mid-70s today. Almost felt like a spring-like day. No humidity and everything. Work from home. Got some stuff done. And so not mad at it, man. Representing the tribe. I got on my tribe shirt.
I tried to represent. I tried. I could not locate my tribe shirt, man. That's dope. Now I love that color on there too, man.
Yeah. Wherever I wear this out, man, I always get a lot of like, yes. As a matter of fact, went to Stone Cold Creamery, and white guy looked at my shirt. He was like, "Yeah, you got on the right shirt." So even the hard rock dudes, hey, they know about A Tribe Called Quest.
So, no doubt.
Yeah. So, man, first, before we get to the end, I don't want to be remiss without saying this, bro. I appreciate you, your sacrifice, your time. You made the intro and the outro for this, and just your wisdom and knowledge on hip hop. When I was thinking about doing something, talking about Golden Era albums, you're the person that first came to my thought. I know we've chopped it up in other situations and everything, and to have you be a part of this, man, I really appreciate it.
No, it's an honor and a pleasure. Like you said, we've talked, at length about just hip hop in general now, and our shared love of the culture, all things underground or real hip hop, so to speak, now. And for you to even have me in your thought process now, that means a lot. That speaks volumes and everything. And it's been a pleasure. I wish we didn't have to end this now, but hopefully we'll be able to pick up somewhere down the road now and continue now. But for right now, this has been a very dope 5 episodes now. This is going to be number 5 right here. So.
Definitely. I appreciate that, man. Maybe we do Soulquarians. Maybe we do somebody's, the Wu-Tang, the whole Wu-Tang family. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. This won't be the last time that we do this, so I appreciate that.
Dope.
Let's go ahead and jump into it. The time is 1991, and rap music has come a long way. The start of the Golden Era was characterized by lyrical mastery. We had complex rhyme schemes, dense multi-syllabic flows, and sharp storytelling that elevated the culture's artistic credibility. As the culture continued to grow, thematic variety became the focus of the day. Artists explored diverse subjects ranging from Black power to social consciousness to gritty street narratives. And then the era also gave birth to influential gangster rap, led by NWA and later solidified by the G-Funk sound, providing a gritty contrast to East Coast boom bap. The golden era was also a perfect fit to the exploding video music scene with the mainstream media outlets like MTV and BET giving rap music space on their networks with Yo MTV Raps and Rap City, respectively. Now, in 1989, one of the foundational groups of the Native Tongue Collective, Tribe Called Quest, released a debut album, People's Instinctive Travels in the Paths of Rhythm. Tribe, which included Queens natives, Q-Tip, Q-Tip, Ali Shaheed Muhammad, Fife, and Jerobi. They formed in the mid-'80s, and Tip and Ali, they attended high school with members of the Jungle Brothers, whose uncle, Universal Zulu Nation and popular radio host, Cool DJ Red Alert, helped secure a record deal and played their early demos on his radio show. Yeah, we swinging through the jungle with DJ Cool DJ Red Alert. Yeah, that was the JBs, and you had Q-Tip there as well. And it was Tip's experience doing the Jungle Brothers and De La Soul's recording sessions for their debut albums that gave him his production foundation. And in addition, he had features on both albums as well. And so before we get into, well, let me read one more part now. Although their debut album received a 5 mic rating in the Source magazine, becoming the first album to receive that magazine's highest rating at that time, the album took a minute to catch on because of the initial presentation of the group as hip hop hippies. It wasn't until the release of Bonita Applebum and Can I Kick It that the group blew up and set up expectations with the drop of their second album. And so let's talk about People Instinctive Travels for a minute. Now, when that album came out, I'm not going to lie, I really was kind of like, El Segundo was not the best pick for that first single. It kind of like, okay, what is this? They kind of were coming off of they had like this De La flavor, they dressed in like the Kente outfits, they ride in the car, it's like catchy. It's almost very, like, I don't know if you could take that song very seriously, right. But that first single kind of left me kind of like, I don't know about these guys. Now, right. Now, not saying it wasn't a good album. Now, this album had some joints on it. We had Bonita Applebum, Can I Kick It? Yeah, I'm gonna have to say my joint was Lucka Lucian. I really love that song. Description of a Fool. So it has some, good songs on it, but initially when it started off, we were kind of like, but the critics love it. What was your impression of People's Instinctive Travels?
It was quirky, but it fit me to a T because I was trying to go against the grain when it came to the hip hop and the dress and just their attitude. And you alluded to it earlier that it was similar to what De La went through with their debut album when they first dropped. Everyone thought that De La was some black hippie, so to speak. So right. Tribe was kind of wrapped in that same type of dialogue or what have you. But I loved the image, but I'm glad that they were able to kind of mature and get away from that, because if they would have stayed in that mode, they probably would not have been as popular, because when you look at that first album, it definitely is a time stamp. I mean, it's a dope album, but it's not that timeless classic like Low End Theory or Midnight Marauders. Those are timeless albums that you can play in any era. When you listen to People's Instinctive Travels, it puts you into 91, maybe 92. It kind of takes you back to that era and everything. Right. But I'm not mad at that at all, because they were they were youngsters. They were 19, 20, 21 when they were probably recording the album. So it's understandable. But I love the image and everything that came with it.
Yeah, it was crazy too, Chris, because at that time, also Hammer and Vanilla Ice pretty much were, we could say they were running the game. I think the mainstream, as it began to really open up and started to put rap in its mainstream outlets, we start to hear it a little bit more on regular radio, not just the late night mix show. Like I mentioned earlier, we're seeing it on Yo MTV Raps. We're
Right.
seeing it on Rap City. We're seeing it on Friday night videos. If you ain't had cable, like many of us did in Baltimore, because Baltimore didn't have cable.
We were late to
Baltimore
the
City,
game in
we were
Baltimore.
late to the game, and Baltimore City would get cable. That's a whole nother episode. Somebody should do a podcast on that. But and so, that was really in the mainstream of people thinking that was dope in some aspects. I would say the mainstream. Of course, the heads didn't think it was dope. But, I really look at that album kind of like as, okay, you're battling with the West Coast in the sense of not, lyrically battling, but they also got a stranglehold. NWA takes off, and then, everything is like Dr. Dre centered. It's DOC, it's all these other groups. And the East starts to lose a little bit of its grip on the culture.
Right.
In terms of, the stuff coming out, and we're transitioning from, the dopeness of Eric B. and Rakim as a lyricist. We already went into the stage of Black Power and politics and that dynamic with Public Enemy, how that kind of pushed everybody into that area. And then we get into the dope but different. A lot of people want to put Afrocentricity with it, which I don't think the music was overt with that, with like the Native Tongue Collective, but I think it was more of what they look like.
The imaging, right.
The imaging is why we say they were Afrocentric. I wasn't necessarily saying they were preaching Africa, but they were showing, beautiful Black creativity in that aspect. And so, that's what this kind of group kind of transitioned us to, especially coming out of, we got JB's, De La kind of blows up pretty big. You get Queen Latifah, you get Moni Love, we get this Native Tongue piece, we get Buddy, we get all these other things. We get a second De La album, De La Soul is Dead, and then we get into this. And so this album, I loved, and if people haven't seen the movie, the Tribe Called Quest documentary,
loved it.
That was done. It's a great documentary. I know they wasn't too happy with it afterwards a little bit. Oh my God, what was the guy's director? He played
Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, Michael Rappaport.
Yeah.
And so Michael Rappaport, they really were kind of mad with Michael Rappaport after it came out. But he captured Tip when Tip was talking about, it was a lot of pressure on them to come out. Yeah, all right, the album did all right. You got the 5 mics. People really didn't start feeling you into, Bonita Applebaum. And so, they had this pressure of, they're going to have to come out big on the second album. He was like, I never felt this thing about, how Tip talk. I never felt this thing about, sophomore jinx and stuff,
Right.
Came and we hit him with Low End. And so Low End made you stand back and was like, is this the same group that dropped People Instinctives? I know I said that for myself. I was like, is this the same dudes? Did that kind of, that album, when it dropped, especially Check the Rhyme, what was your thoughts of like, okay, is this the same guys that came out just a year before that?
I knew that, like you said, that sophomore jinx probably was something that may have been going around in the head of Q-Tip, but because of the type of artist that he is, and like you said with Dr. Dre, he wanted to make something that really thumped. People's Instinctive Travels. you know, a lot of assorted samples, but it didn't quite have the same thump as low end theory. So he wanted to capture that bottom, that low end, and mix it with the jazzy samples and the obscure samples that nobody's ever thought of utilizing before. So with that album dropping, it was like a sonic earthquake.
I would say that I agree with that. I definitely that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And so let's talk a little bit. Let's go deeper into some of the things in the album.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about the emergence of Phife Dawg as a dope MC. Now, we didn't get a lot of Phife Dawg on the first album.
Right.
We got him a little bit in Check the Rhyme. I mean, I'm not Check the Rhyme. We got him a little bit and Can I Kick It? But
Mm-hmm.
not a whole lot. He didn't really have any features on that first album. But, as he said, he was more involved in this process. And I mean, it was that perfect combination of the high voice of Fife
Mm-hmm.
and, the smooth monotone of Q-Tip. And Fife really came off on this album. I mean,
He did.
when you was digging Fife, I mean, what was Fife saying to you as an MC?
Um, the first album, like you say, he just felt like someone that was almost like a featured guest. Now
Right.
it didn't seem as though he contributed nearly as much as Q-Tip. And it may be by design. I'm not sure. Like you said, I've seen the documentary and everything. I took actually set up a group of hip hop heads to go to see the documentary that Beats Rhymes and Life at Arundel Mills at the movie theater when it dropped. So we had
Okay.
probably about 35, 40 people in that movie theater, and it when you heard about the dynamics of the group and going from the first album to that second album, that was the emergence of Fife, and their voices, they complemented each other so well with Q-Tip having that that mellow voice, like you said, and then Fife, having that high pitched type of voice now, and he seemed like he was battle tested. Whatever happened between the first and the second album, it seemed like he was ready for ciphers. He was ready to battle almost anyone now at that point. So I love that growth that we saw, between the first and second album there for Fife.
It's crazy. Everybody in the world knows that the Knicks just won the NBA
I
championship.
wish he could have seen
And
it.
yeah. And Jerobi, he posted something on his ex that he wished that Fife was here to see that. But I'm gonna make the analogy. Fife was kind of like Jalen Brunson.
Oh, he was
Fife,
Jalen Brunson. Yep. Yep.
yeah, in the sense of okay, he was kind of low key, didn't really explode early in the career, but then all of a sudden he gets in the right spot with this album. Great beats, great direction, great production,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden he's a 20 plus a game score,
Right.
and he's winning MVPs in the finals. I mean,
Hmm.
Butter. I mean, that's
Hmm.
basically, Butter and Jazz. He
Hmm.
goes off on this album. Like,
Hmm.
it really put him in like, all right, yeah, first everybody was just for Tip. And, Tip, to me, Tip was cool, but really, I really thought that Fife really showed himself as a strong MC on
Hmm.
this album. Definitely,
Exactly.
definitely,
Exactly.
definitely. Yeah, it's crazy because we talk about that first album and Can I Kick It? Um, and I'm thinking I think Can I Kick It gave us industry rule number 4080,
Record
and
company
so
people are shady. Yes, sir.
record company people are shady,
Hmm.
and by the time that we get to that next album, the rhyme scheme is elevated, the
Hmm.
lyrics are elevated. I mean, we're getting prime both prime MCs coming off in a
Hmm.
very great way, and so we just love that, love what happened, seeing the emergence of Fife as the MC. Now, before we get into talking about some of the production, because you said you're going to show off, you want to talk about your boy Tip as producer. We're going to talk about the use of jazz, because also what we're seeing in this transition from 87 to 91, the sound palette has changed. 87 to about 89 is all James Brown, some funkadelic, probably some Kool and Gang in there.
Right.
And as we get into 90, 91, and I would say from 91 to probably up to 93, 94, I mean, we get all these jazz cats. You get Pete Rock, you get Premier, although Premier, coming out with Gangstar wasn't necessarily jazzy. He still had those elements there. Lord Finesse, you're getting all of these dudes who kind of have this, the beat miners. You're getting all of these cats that are influenced by Tip. We could say Tip birthed a lot of your. He's your producer's favorite producer.
He is.
Yeah, I would say that Tip and the way that he really made these records is, Questlove. We talking about the Roots. We talking about all of these cats, the Soul Aquarians, all of those cats. Really say they got their foundation from the production of Tip as a producer. And so we're going to get into talking about Tip in a minute, talking about his influence. So let's look at some albums from 1991 that were kind of in the queue. Let's see, Digital Underground. This is an EP release. This was after Sex Packets. Gangstar Step in the Arena. This is when they went. I would say Gangstar. They went from being kind of like I want to say they were pseudo Muslims. That's the way that Guru kind of came off on the first album. But this album, they talking about stick up kids are out the tax, and that album was hard. It led right into oh my God, what was the third album?
No More Mr. Nice Guy. No More Mr. Nice Guy. Step in the Arena, and then
Daily Operation.
Daily Operation, exactly. Oh yes.
Yeah, Daily Operation was that. Let's see. Jizza, Words from the Genius. You had Kid Capri, the tape. And so, they're trying to cash in on the mixtape thing that was going on. Hey, man, I'm going to say this album now. I like this album a lot, but because of who they were, they did not get the play that they were supposed to get. Young Black Teenagers.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, Young Black Teenagers, if people don't know, a little background, a little history for you. This was a group that was produced by the Bomb Squad, by Chuck D and the Bomb Squad. And so they were scouting groups, and they had these groups. It was a group of white teenagers, young Black teenagers. And you had another group of kids that included Charlie Brown and this guy, Busta Rhymes. Well, he wasn't even Busta Rhymes. Chuck D gave him his rap name, Busta Rhymes. I forget what his other name was. And so they had to battle for the names of their groups. And I believe that the group of white teenagers won, and they got Young Black Teenagers. And the other group got Leaders of the New School. And so that's crazy. But Daddy Call Me Nigga is one of the songs on Young Black Teenagers. I thought that was a great album. Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs, Life of a Kid in the Ghetto. Now, this was a great album. This was one of your first live hip-hop albums, Boogie Down Productions, Live Hardcore Worldwide. I thought that was a great album. He was doing the heel stuff and, kind of transitioning into kind of being this metaphysical leader, talking about KRS-One. Let's see, Yo-Yo, Make Way for the Motherlode, Mantronics, The Incredible Sound Machine. We got Redhead Kingpin, the album with no name. Oh, here's another PE Bomb Squad produced album, Terminator X in the Valley of the Jeep.
The Valley of the Jeep, yes, sir.
Bro, I used to blast that thing in my little tracker.
You had that
You
Geo
couldn't tell me.
tractor, so you couldn't tell
I
you
had that.
nothing.
Yeah, you could. I thought I was in the valley of the Jeep beats with that boy, with that little market system in the Jeep. Boy, you couldn't tell me nothing playing this Terminator X. Yeah, that album was it was a banger. I think it
Mm-hmm.
had Sister Soldier on there. We are at war
That we
now.
are. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. I had that joint on there. De La Soul is dead. They're trying to get away
Mm-hmm.
from the daisies. This was a great concept album as well. Hated it. you know, they they did
Um,
everything. Millie pulled a pistol on Santa. I think was on that
mhm.
joint. Roller skate Saturdays.
Mhm.
Yeah, a couple joints on there. That was a decent album.
Yeah, that was a cool
Was
album. Now,
Ring Ring on there? Hey Ring Ring.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think Ring Ring was on that. Is
It
on
was
that
on
as
there.
well. Uh,
It was
yeah.
on there. Now.
Ice T, original OG, original gangster. KMD.
Hmm.
This is MF Doom's group.
I love.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Hood.
Mr. Hood. Yes, sir. I
Yeah,
love that
Mr.
album right
Hood.
there. I loved it.
Chubb Rock, the one. Now this was a great album too. I think we've left some on the tables, some of these albums on the floor because we can't get them all. But the one was a great album, Chubb Rock.
Great.
Another Bomb Squad produced album, Son of Berserk.
Yes.
That was crazy album as well.
Hmm.
NWA released Niggas for Life.
Hmm.
Let's see. Third
That.
Base, Derelicts of Dialect.
Hmm.
We get the Pete Rock and CL Smooth EP all sold out.
All sold out. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, we talk about Leaders of the New School. They dropped their album as well, Future Without a Past. That was produced by Eric Vietnam Sadler, featuring. Now, it's crazy about Leaders of the New School. Busta wasn't really even the lead person. It was Charlie Brown, who was kind of like the lead person, and Dinko D and Busta was kind of like just maybe like the second or third wheel. But we're going to talk about Scenario and how that pretty much put
Hmm.
Busta in the mainstream.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's see. PM Dawn. Yeah.
Mm. Yes,
Hey, we get the first Cypress Hill album, Cypress Hill.
thank
I
you.
love that
Thank you.
album. Pigs.
Hmm. Hmm.
How I Could Just Kill a
With this
Man.
killer man. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. A Hand on the Pump. The
Hmm.
Funky Feel one. Yeah, this was a great Latin Lingo. This was a
It
great
was
album.
West Coast lyricism with East Coast flair. It was like they combined forces with the West and the East Coast to make that, and then give it that Latin, that Latin flair.
Right.
So I loved that Cypress Hill joint.
We got Naughty by Nature, their debut album that had OPP on it.
Hmm.
Uh, that kind of put them out there. Let's see, Poor Righteous Teachers, Bismarcky, I Need a Haircut. I think this was after the sample issues. No,
Yeah.
this is where he got caught up in the sample issue with
Hmm.
Gilbert O'Sullivan and Alone Again. And so this was the album that pretty much changed, the sampling game. And so we started seeing people really start producing the beats, or they were going, maybe that's what kind of pushed people to different genres of the music and making sure that it was clear. And so
Hmm.
yeah, and actually this album came out before the Tribes dropped in that September. And so that's just some
Okay.
of the albums that we had out and whatnot. Public Enemy put out Apocalypse 91. By that time PE was, about to head on out the door.
Hmm.
uh I'm trying to think. Freestyle Fellowship. They was from LA.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I forgot that
yeah,
dropped in '91
yeah,
now.
yeah. To Whom It May Concern.
Hmm.
We get Ice Cube's Death Certificate.
Loved it.
Organized Confusion. We get there.
Absolutely loved them. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great album. Let's see. Anything else? Tim Dog, Penicillin on Wax.
Was that with the F Compton on there?
Yes, it's
Oh
got
my
F
lord.
Compton on
F
here.
Compton. Oh my god.
Let's see. DJ Quick Beat Down.
Uh-huh.
He had a song on here, Dissing Michelle A. Yeah,
That was
Tim
good.
Dog. This
Yeah.
I always like was Tim Dog said G because you knew that Ultramagnetic that said G produced this,
Right.
but I was always wondering were they one and the same person, like Humpty Hump
No,
and Shock G.
you probably could almost look that direction, but I don't think so now. But they were
Yeah,
definitely closely connected somehow. Now he was part of that Ultramag circle, I guess, so to speak. Now, but he
most
was
definitely.
definitely rough around the edges, that's for sure. That's the best way I can put it.
Definitely. Yeah, that was some craziness. Now let's talk about Tip as a producer. And
Hmm.
we see the use of jazz, we see Ron Carter. Most people I didn't know who Ron Carter was
Hmm.
until he appeared on this album. Great
Exactly.
bassist. As a matter of fact, he just released a gospel album with
Really?
yeah, oh my god, it bangs.
Wow.
Uh
Give me 1 second here. I'm
uh
still here. Give me 1 second. Oh boy.
uh Ricky Dillard.
Oh, he did it with Ricky Dillard. Oh wow.
Yes.
Oh
He
wow.
just released, yeah, it came out maybe a month or two ago. It's called Sweet Sweet Spirit.
Hmm.
Um and it's a great album. He prominent, you can hear him playing the upright bass on it. It's a great album. And so and get into some of his other catalog as well. He's well in his late 80s now. But
I
he
had
was
to check
part
that out.
of Miles' second great quintet. And
Hmm.
so he's been around for a while. But talk to me a little bit about Tip and his influence as a producer, and what did Tip mean to you in that space?
Tip was the to me he was the epicenter of that entire like New York City boom bap East Coast feel.
Mm-hmm.
You had your Pete Rock, you had your DJ Premier, Large Professor. It was that whole group, pretty much the producers that worked on Nas's seminal album. That core of producers, they traded off samples, they fed off of each other, they pushed each other. And to me, Q-Tip was really the epicenter of that whole construct. So I just love the fact that Q-Tip was, he was fearless when it came to being able to find a sample, find some, dope drums, and be able to layer the music in such a manner to just make that sound bed. And I don't want to, discredit, any of the other group members like Ali, Shaheed, because I think he really contributed as well. But Q-Tip definitely was the epicenter, and he is in my top three as far as best producers of all time, hip hop wise. I have absolutely no
Wow.
questions about that.
Wow. Who were the other two?
Hmm. I would say Dilla, which is a disciple
Yes,
basically of Q-Tip,
exactly.
and depending on what day it is, either Pete Rock or Primo. They're probably one A and one B. So they when I can have one, I have to have the other. But those are pretty much at the top of the ladder for me. And then of course I have others, but those right there, I'm pretty much not going to debate.
Yeah, I would say Tip, because we even can say that Tip. I guess we could say Tip and Pete Rock are contemporaries.
Hmm.
They're peers, but we can definitely say that Tip probably definitely was an inspiration for him as well.
Hmm.
But I will say this about Tip: he opened up my ears to jazz.
Yes, he did.
I couldn't say that I knew a lot of jazz before you know this album,
Hmm.
and I would say that it was this album that kind of like made you go and research who these artists are, that made you get into the Blue Note catalog.
Hmm.
Lou Donaldson and you know uh
There's just so many
All,
Cannonball
yeah,
Adderley and just so
Cannonball
many.
Adderley, just so many artists and stuff that, you know, I never knew that jazz was swinging like this. I didn't know there was a funk jazz. And, you know,
Hmm.
when we really thought about jazz, we just thought about something that was kind of like old and didn't make too much sense.
Exactly.
But, you know, he was getting into this melodic music. It almost made it sound like it was his music uh,
Exactly.
that he put it together. I mean, Lonnie Liston Smith and, you know,
Hmm.
all these other types of artists, and how he was using that really just opened up your palette to other things. And so that, yeah, for me, that's what, you know, Tip did for me as a listener of
Hmm.
his music and what he was doing. And also, we
Exactly.
got to talk about the influence of Bob Power, you know,
Oh
as
yeah.
an engineer, and, you know, how he was removing, like, you know, that surface noise and static that is typically
Hmm.
heard on hip hop songs sampled from old vinyl records. You know, I think Bob Power was the secret sauce that brought the boom to that music. I mean, it was crisp, the drums, the bass line,
Hmm.
the horns, all of those things. You know, hip hop before that, it was cool, but it wasn't as colorful.
Right.
I think Tribe's music, it was colorful on the sense that you got so many different flavors in there. You still
Hmm.
can discover stuff today that, oh wow, I didn't know that was in there. I didn't know, you know, this
Exactly.
piece, and, you know, the way that it was mixed
Hmm.
and engineered by Power, his influence on them as well. You know, what do you think about Bob Power?
First of all, rest in peace to Bob Power.
Yes.
He was he showed that being an engineer was an art form. It wasn't just a job or a gig for him. He was a cog, you know, in Tribe's machine, so to speak. Now, when it came to being able to sonically make things crystal clear, just like how a Dr. Dre was doing on the West Coast.
Hmm.
Q-Tip basically was bringing clarity to dirty drums and the samples at the same time. So when that low end theory hit, that bottom, especially the kick drum, I've never heard kick drum sound so sharp and
Right.
distinctive prior to that, and I have to attribute a lot of that to Bob Power and the way that he was able to tune in and be able to communicate with Q-Tip and Ali Shaheed about how they wanted the music and the samples to sound, and vice versa. So he was an integral part now, and Bob Power working with Tribe led to him working with a variety of other artists, with Questlove and the Roots, and so many
Right.
others now within hip hop circles. So he definitely was an honorary member of hip hop circles now. And again, want to say rest in peace because he definitely knew his stuff and he was able to bring his flair to make the music thump.
Definitely. Now, also, we had some great features on this album. You know, we mentioned Ron Carter a little earlier. You have Vinny and Mojica, who's singing
Hmm.
the hook on Verses from the Abstract.
Right.
And, you know, she had a nice little run within Native Tongues and on a
She
couple
did.
other albums as well,
Hmm.
being a singing feature. We got Show Business. You got Diamond D, uh,
Another one.
Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop. Now, uh, we could probably do a show on stunts, blunts, and hip hop.
Yes, sir.
That was that's a classic album. That's a
Classic album.
classic album. That's a class. Now, if you ain't heard it, go pull it up on any of your music platforms. Diamond D and the Neurotic Psychotic. I forgot what the rest of the group
Yeah, the
was, but it was just
psychotic
him.
neurotics or something like that.
Psychotic Neurotic, something like that.
Hmm.
But Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop, great album. We
Great
got
album.
him on Show Business with Diamond D, Lord Jamal, and Star X, and so we got Brand New on here. We got, of course, we got the biggest song, the biggest posse cut to me. Probably this bumps, Marley Marl and the Juice Crew. in
Mm-hmm.
terms of being the best posse cut, in my opinion, the scenario. And so you got leaders of the new school along with the tribe, and everybody's holding their own on this cut. Um, it was kind of like the to me, it put Busta Rhymes on the map in terms of just as a wild, crazy cat with the wild lines, as
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing, eating idle soup like the one Peter Tosh.
Exactly. And I'm like, and I had to go back and reference that. Like, what is he talking about? Whatever it is dope. It's dope now. So,
I did not know. I'm like, did he say idol or I what? I had,
man, it
one
took
time I
me
became an
years.
adult, like, oh, I told that's all in
Huh?
the roster Perry
Exactly. He was showing
culture.
his
Oh,
Caribbean
he
roots, and we didn't
showing his
really
Caribbean
realize
roots.
it at that
Swear,
time. But,
he was already ahead of us.
yeah.
And to me, this pretty much, although Leaders of the New School did a second album, to me, that his feature on this posse cut pretty much just opened up his solo career.
It pretty much set him on a course of being a solo artist. And if you were in the hip hop circles, you saw the interview that they had on Yo MTV Raps and everything, where they basically broke up in real time now on the
Right.
show and everything now. And I was like, is this really going on right now? And you can see the tension between Charlie Brown and Busta Rhymes, but
Yeah, Charlie Brown really, because you look at that first Leaders of the New School album, he has a lot of features on that, just kind of like solo joints. And, he brings Dinko and Bus along, but to me, that was really a Charlie Brown centered album. They tried to even it out on the second album, but it was just too late because Buster was the star, and he showed that he was a star when he went ahead and blew up with that album. And so, um, yeah, that posse cut, I think it really just rounded out a well album. Now, I won't say that this album didn't have any skips. Let's not say that. There were some skippers on this album, but I will say that for the most part, this album holds up pretty strong. Bugging Out, Excursions, Bugging Out, Rap Promoter, Butter, Verses from the Abstract, Show Business, Vibes and stuff. We could probably skip over Infamous Date Rape, but Check the Rhyme, which was the lead single, Jazz, We Got It, Sky Pager, and Scenario. I mean, out of 14 songs, you had a solid at least 8, 9 songs on this album. And it was critically well received. It was rated very high. This is definitely if we were to make a top 50 rap album list, this is definitely a top 50 album list that we have here. And so we can't deny that. Another great album. And so, we're going to go ahead and transition out and end there. My host had a couple little difficulties there, my co-host, but hopefully we'll get him back at another time for a last word. But I like to tell everybody, man, we talked about some of these albums, but I want to encourage you to go out and listen to some of these albums. Maybe you haven't listened to them in a while. Maybe you got the cassette in the house. If you still got a cassette player, go ahead and pull out that cassette player and go ahead and pop that cassette in and take a listen to it, of the things that influence you and your love of hip hop. I think all of these albums kind of give us a well represented look at where the golden era went from. We went from great lyricism, kind of minimal beats. Then we went into Black political power and consciousness. From there, we went into, being different, but maintaining your creativity and your influence of Afrocentric culture. Then we went into the gangster tales and the influence of the West. And then we start coming back towards the East with Low End Theory, and how this really birthed a whole new group of MCs, producers, changing the way that music was made, not just depending on a James Brown sample or a funk sample, but the whole gambit of music that was out there. So As you can tell, hopefully you got this from this, that I love hip hop and I love these albums. And so I want to encourage you, go out, take a listen and your leisure. I want to give a shout out to my man Calvin. We are going to come back with B.I.G. Sports Show. I see my man Wisdom's coming back. I want to get him in here for any final words that he may have. You with us, bro? Yeah, I see, and I can't hear you. I see you went out. Well, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, can you hear me? Let me see if I can take you off. I mute you. Yeah, it's something on your end, but don't worry about it, bro. Again, I want to give a shout out to DJ Wisdom Beats. Um, we did it. We got our 5 episodes in. I appreciate you, bro. I know I said it before. Oh, can you say something? Say something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay, and I apologize about that. Now, technical difficulty. We were right in the midst of conversation, and as soon as I said something about Busta Rhymes and Charlie Brown, the forces that be said, "Oh, we're gonna put a halt to this here." So, sorry about that. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I was just closing this out, man. I was just saying that, this album, I think really, it birthed and it helped carry hip hop into its next generation of producers and
Mm-hmm.
MCs in terms of looking to different music sources for inspiration, people being themselves in some aspects. And it really brought a level of different creativity into the game
It
of,
did.
people, you know, we knew about the DJ, but we didn't know about people digging for records. And I think,
Right.
we can say that this album kind of launched the whole crate digging type of genre of people, really looking for these samples, looking for these records, not realizing they had these records in
All
their
along.
parents' collection or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all along and stuff like that. And so, I think that this album really inspired the development, the musical development of
Mm-hmm.
producing and of the MC. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just want to encourage people to go out and, take a listen to these albums, the influence of these albums, not only on the production side, but the lyrical side. And, we really can trace some of, rap's movement totally into the mainstream from these golden era albums. I want to
Exactly.
give you any closing words that you might have if you want to say anything.
Oh yeah, by all means. Or by the way, Skeff Anselm, he gets props too. Now we almost forgot about Skeff because he
That's right.
actually is noted.
Skeff
He
Anselm.
actually is listed as a producer on Low End Theory as well now. So he definitely um helped to guide that ship when it came to that Low End Theory. And that album right there definitely was one of the catalysts that got me to digging deeper. I love going to record stores and looking for records, but I wasn't knowledgeable until Low End Theory hit. Once Tribe hit, and then once the floodgates opened with that whole New York City, crew of producers, they opened me up to so much music that probably would have just went, it just would have been silent now. So they basically brought attention to a lot of, like you said, a Blue Note, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
obscure samples, things that were in your parents' or your grandparents' record collection that you never really wanted to pay attention to because you thought it was old and nobody wanted to deal with the dusty records or anything. But
Right.
it opened up crate digging and everything. Now, and to this day, I'm still an avid digger, even if I'm digging from a virtual standpoint online. I'm always looking for obscure samples and everything, and I owe a lot to Q-Tip and A Tribe Called Quest. They are definitely one of the biggest influences, on me when it comes to production and just being a citizen in this hip hop world. Definitely.
Definitely. And it probably, man, it definitely brought money to the back catalog of a lot of these jazz labels. I mean,
Exactly.
so much so that Blue Note and Impulse, a lot of these jazz labels, Verb,
Mm-hmm.
CTI, they began to
CTI. Mm-hmm.
embrace the hip hop, and they start releasing their back catalogs. They start allowing these producers, I mean, Mad Lib, all of these
Mm-hmm.
guys, again, Q-Tip disciples,
Exactly.
to do remixes of their classics. You know, you got Shades of Blue, Mad Lib. That's a great
That Mad Lib album was
example
incredible. Now
of, yeah,
yeah, you never heard of a label opening up its vaults to a hip hop producer before. So for them to open up the Blue Note vaults, and for him, and really, with Madlib, that's a unique subject because his father was heavily into jazz as it was now. So just for them to open up the vaults to allow him to just code through the stuff that nobody heard maybe before, to create that Shades of Blue. That definitely was a big, big look, and I love that album as well, right there. And like you said,
definitely.
another Q-Tip disciple, and like I said before previously last week, I could go on and on and on, but we're not gonna hold up the people or yourself now. We'll save this for another time, but I just want to
Definitely.
definitely thank a Tribe Called Quest, and others of that ilk for dropping some gems during that golden age era. Hold up the shirt now. And I want to thank you now, Garland, for allowing me a space to talk about something that I'm passionate about now, and hopefully the audience will feel and see that passion, and it may open individuals up to go back and visit or revisit these albums, and get a slice of history and be inside that time capsule.
All right, that's the final word, y'all. Thank you again for tuning in, and I appreciate it. Share it with a friend, link it with a friend, and appreciate everybody's ear and listen. Hey, leave any comments on YouTube, on your social medias. We appreciate it, and because we left so many things open, that means we got to come out and do something else. Just like we got the auditorium volume 1, that means it got to be a volume 2, and so we got to do something else as well. So we're gonna think about that, put our heads together, and we're gonna see what's up. But for DJ Wisdom Beats and for Big G, thank you, everybody.
This was an All Things Black with Calvin and Garland production. The original music used in this podcast was produced and used by permission from DJ Wisdom Beats. Thank you for listening, and make sure to follow us on your podcast platforms.
Doing all the golden era. Dropped out.
Salute to the golden era.
Yes, sir. Bro, thanks, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you with the technical difficulties and all. Now, thank you, man.
Don't worry
And
about it.
again, man, I'm sending my prayers out for you and your family, man. That's first and foremost right now. But man, you be blessed. And if you need anything, man, or if you just need to talk, you got my number. Just hit me up, of course.
Most def. Thank you, bro. Have a good evening.
All right, man. You be blessed, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right. All right now. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.